Hey, how you guys doing? I got another one. This is a good one. All right, so this is about an article that's from The Guardian. And the Guardian says the idea that family courts are biased against men is a dangerous uh, falsity. So, what this is saying is that the court system actually is for men and it's not for women when it comes to a custody situation. Oh man, this is crazy. All right, so in this article, now this article is more than 2 months old, so it came out this year. Here's the writer, right here. The evidence shows that the disproportional male judiciary is more likely to rule against abused women and children. Yeah. If you've binged on the BBC drama The Split, which follows a family of glamorous divorce lawyers, you might be forgiven for thinking that this corner of the law is all about the multi-million-pound footballer prenups and the fallout from affairs. So this is already painting men in a negative light. Now, the reason that I bring this article up is it says 2 in 5 marriages end in divorce, and there are more often than 40,000 cases a year that come before the courts that relate to custody and in contact with children, a majority including allegations of domestic abuse. These can be life and death decisions. At least 50 children have died as a result of contact with an abusive parent after separation in the last 25 years. So this is what's crazy. All right. So out of 25 years, there's been 50 kids that have died from abuse. Now, they don't say that it's man or woman, but they just say abuse. The way the article's written, it makes it look like they're talking specifically about men abusing and killing their children. But 50, that's 2 kids a year. They just said there's 40,000 cases a year that come before the court. Like, that would be millions of children. Millions of children. So I'm these kids died, so it's nothing to joke about. It's nothing to be happy about. But if you're having millions of children, millions of children come in front of the court, and 50 have died in 25 years, that is like less than a percent. But the reason I bring this up is because they try to paint it as if like they're using this little detail, which is, like I said, less than 1%, to paint how this is biased towards women. All right. As you get farther down here, it says the lack of transparency about how these decisions are made has allowed a dangerous narrative to prevail that the system is biased against fathers. Next year is the 20th anniversary of a formation of Fathers for Justice, a campaign that is best remembered for flourishing boom Tony Blair as Prime Minister questions. It has become progressively nastier since then, including a crummy mummy campaign singling out famous women for criticism. So again, this is a Fathers for Justice, which is a men's group. So it's already getting a negative light. Now, granted, I don't know specifically about this. Like, I don't know if they've done nasty stuff. I can't tell you. But what's key here is just the way that they're describing it in their article. They're painting it in a negative. Now it says Fathers for Justice demand that the law ensures a presumption of 50-50 custody. All right, so that's all they want. This group wants 50-50 custody. That's not crazy. If it's your kid, you should get half the child's time. I think that's reasonable. So, as it gets down here, they claim the court bias against men has gained broad traction in the debate around the subject, despite evidence to the contrary. A review of public court decisions found that they promoted as much contact as possible with fathers, even in cases of proven domestic violence. A 2011 review of family law drew on evidence from Australia, where is a legal presumption of shared parenting has been established for poor emotional outcomes for children. It concludes that there should be no legal change that might risk creating a parent's right. All right. So automatically they're saying that the father being in the life of their child is bad. All right. And then it goes down to say welfare is paramount. This did not stop the government introducing a garbled reform in 2014 that told courts to presume that unless shown in the contrary, a parent's involvement in their child's life will always be the child's benefit. So I don't see how that assume that it's good unless you can prove otherwise. Like that makes perfect sense. Like there should be evidence that a parent can't see their child. It shouldn't just be someone said something and boom, there we go. So as we get down here, it pretty much goes and it talks about like abuse of children. Like they use the most extreme cases to try to justify everything. In recent years, the junk science of parent alienation syndrome has gained traction. This idea was developed in the 1980s by Richard Gardner, a crank psychologist who thought child sexual abuse is not necessarily traumatic, and that mothers who did not fulfill their partners sexually are in the blame for fathers sexually abusing their daughters. Garner believed that many mothers who claim they had been abused are liars, poisoning their children against their partner. So right here is Richard Gardner. This right here is about his life. He was born in the 30s and he died in 2003. But he was real big on children and psychology and abuse and divorces. It says right here about his controversy. His views stirred considerable controversy, and he published rebuttals of his critics' arguments. He said the parental alienation syndromes focused on how one parent may misuse the power of socialization to turn a child against a once loved parent. Okay. Gardner's labeling of alienation process as a syndrome remains controversial. I can see how it becomes controversial. Okay, he had a thought. In 2002, an article in the American Journal of Family Therapy, Gardner dismissed most of his critics as either biased or misinformed. That's a fair point. So, like, that's the thing. Like, he just didn't think that people should get funded or they should get protection automatically because that allows people to abuse something. I can't say that this man's crazy. I can't say that that's a crazy stance. You can go to his Wikipedia. It's Richard Gardner. Look it up. Read him. Give me your thoughts. But as we get down here, it pretty much just says that this is like the court system is biased towards women, and women are constantly being abused, and men are just making out in the court system. Well, I've got some facts here. So here's some facts from a law firm. Yeah, so this right here is pretty good. So when it comes to professions with the highest divorce rates, you have dancers, bartenders, massage therapists, gaming cage workers, and gaming service workers. So the top 3 of those are for sure highly populated by women. So women are doing the divorces, okay? Right here, you can see all the divorce rates by occupation. The highest divorce rate is 43% of dancers. As you get down here, agricultural, engineer, clergy, like when it comes to doctors and people that are making and doing stuff, the divorce rate is super low. Super low. Military divorces. Like, the reason that I showed the divorce rate is just because it shows like what type of occupations or people are getting divorced here. So as we go over to this, okay, so custody. As you can read here, study shows fathers' share of parenting time by state. Okay, so 23.8% of the time in Washington. As you look, this shows how much time the kid gets to spend. The lighter the color, the less time that they're getting with their children. The darker the color, the more. The highest you see is 50%. Okay, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So out of 50 states, 19 states recommend giving 50% of. Most of them aren't even breaking 30. Like, I'm in Ohio, and Ohio's 23.7%. Like, so clearly this study that was done with parenting disproves this article just by that. Now when you go down here to the child support, so this right here is the awarded percentage of child support, total due child support, the percentage of those due child support, and average child support and average income. So with males, percentage-wise, 31.4% of single fathers are awarded child support. Out of their female counterparts, it's 52.3%. All right, so out of total due child support, males 648, females $5,049. Percentage of those due child support is 73.9% for men, 74.1% for women. This is from 2013. So as you can see, there's a 20% gap between who's awarded child support. But when it comes down to non-payment, it's almost 2%. There's a 2% difference, and the men are paying much larger amounts of child support than the women are. The average child support is $6,526 for men, and it's $5,181. Average income for men is $70,000. Average income for women is $33,000. So, from what I'm gathering from this, it's not a big difference in the law against women. I believe the things I just showed prove that the courts are not against abused women, and they're not against abused children, and the courts aren't slanted for men. But that's just my opinion. I'll link all of this material down in the description. Smash the like, leave me a comment, hit the subscribe button, tell me what you think. Alright guys, you have a good night.